3 weeks into my pregnancy, my husband went abroad to seek a protective amulet for me. A week after wearing it, I unexpectedly lost the baby. The loss triggered a long dormant illness, causing me to go blind. My husband stayed by my bedside for 3 days. Worried I couldn't see, he called his cousin to take care of me. In the middle of the night, I heard his cousin climb into our bed. My husband lowered his voice. "Are you crazy? My wife is right here. What are you afraid of? She's blind, she can't see. Besides, I've been pretending to be your cousin and taking care of her for so many days. Don't you owe me compensation?" My husband warned, "Lily is the most important woman in my life. If you dare disrespect her, I'll kill you." Listening to their suggestive noises, I tried my best to hold back my trembling body, tears streaming down my face. He didn't know I had regained my sight. After they left, I texted my brother. I agreed to immigrate back home. The room fell silent, and the two of them exchanged breaths. Rosie chuckled. "I told you she wouldn't notice. She can't see. If she wakes up, just say you were watching TV." June mumbled, "All right, get out. Keep it down." Rosie got dressed and said with dissatisfaction, "You men are all the same, using and discarding. When the baby is born, I won't let him call you dad." Hearing the word baby, June's tone softened. "Okay, just bear with it for now. Give birth to the baby first, and I won't let you suffer in the future." I clenched the bedsheet tightly, listening to them planning how to pass the child off as mine. My heart ached. Rosie wasn't satisfied and clung to June in the bathroom. The door opened and closed quickly. I got up and walked to the living room, coldly looking at the overlapping figures in the bathroom. The bathroom light was on, and the sound of running water covered the noise inside. About half an hour later, the door opened. When June came out and saw me, he was taken aback. He asked subconsciously, "Honey, why are you awake? Did I wake you up?" I shook my head expressionlessly. "I was thirsty and came to get some water." June breathed a sigh of relief. He came over and helped me up, his tone a little reproachful. "You should have called me if you were thirsty. You can't see, what if you fall?" I didn't say anything. June suddenly hugged me, his arms very tight, as if afraid I would disappear from him. "Honey, you know how much I love you, so I won't let you get hurt." His bathrobe was stained with the scent of Rosie, making me want to vomit. He quickly helped me sit on the sofa and poured me a cup of hot water. "Are you feeling cold? Drink some hot water." He carefully blew on the hot water, afraid that I would get burned. Looking at his worried expression, I almost thought that the person in the bathroom just now wasn't him. On the side, Rosie was teasing June with her hands. She looked at me provocatively. June couldn't help but groan. "What's wrong?" I asked. June hid his expression, but still lied to me. "It's nothing, I just accidentally burned myself with hot water." Seeing this, Rosie intensified her actions. She kissed June directly in front of me. I clenched my fingers tightly under my sleeve and said I was tired and wanted to go to sleep. June had no choice but to push Rosie away and help me back to the room. "Honey, I suddenly realized that there's a document in the company that hasn't been finished yet. I might have to work overtime tonight. You go to sleep first." After saying that, he left in a hurry. I couldn't help but sneer. 3 times in one night, his energy was really strong. The door was closed again, and my face was unknowingly wet with tears. I sent a message to my brother. "Brother, I agreed to immigrate back home." Half an hour later, June returned quietly. He tucked me in and left a wet kiss on my forehead. He thought I was asleep and hugged me from behind. I almost forgot how clean and pure June used to be. Even holding hands, he would blush. When we were dating and went to a hotel, he would stiffen and dare not touch me, saying he didn't want to dirty me. We dated for 7 years and were married for 5. We almost filled each other's entire youth. I never doubted his sincerity, but often, sincerity changes in an instant. The next morning, June helped me to have breakfast. When he turned to get a bowl, Rosie pushed me from behind. I fell to the ground, hitting my forehead on the corner of the table, and blood immediately gushed out. "Oh my God, sister-in-law, what's wrong with you?" Rosie came over to help me with a concerned look. June quickly came over to check on me, and when he saw me injured, he shouted angrily at Rosie. "I told you to take good care of my wife. And this is how you do it. I warn you, if anything happens to Lily, I won't let you off. After saying that, June quickly carried me to the hospital. It was just a superficial wound. June held my hand tightly. Honey, I was so scared just now. It's a good thing you're okay. I smiled bitterly. Looking at the man in front of me, who was gradually becoming a stranger, I asked him, "What if I left you one day? What would you do?" Hearing my words, a look of panic appeared in the man's eyes. Honey, if you leave me, I won't want to live. With that, the man pulled me into his arms. I know giving up the child caused you a lot of pain, and I feel bad too. Honey, why don't we adopt a child? Probably not hearing my response, the man looked at me. His tone was tentative. The doctor said your current condition is not suitable for having children. I was thinking that having a child might make you feel better. Honey, are you unhappy? I forced a smile. Are we going to an orphanage to adopt? A strange light flashed in June's eyes. Then he said, No, it's the child in my cousin Yinyan's belly. She met the wrong man and wants to give birth to the child, but she's afraid it will affect her future marriage. If we adopt her child, it can also help her. She met the wrong man. Why doesn't she just have an abortion? The expression on June's face froze. Okay, I know you may not want to talk about this now. Let's discuss it later when you feel better. I sneered. He wasn't discussing it with me. He was clearly notifying me. He had a child with another woman and wanted to transfer it to my name and let me raise their child. What a good plan he had. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days, and after a full body examination, I heard June talking to the doctor. June, Mrs. seems to have recovered her eyesight recently, and her hormones have also returned to normal, and she can conceive normally. Hearing this, June was not happy. Instead, he glared angrily at the doctor. Didn't you say that there was enough medicine in that amulet? Why has her condition improved? Also, you said she can conceive normally. What if she gets pregnant with my child again? How can I let Nyan's child inherit the Shun group? My heart trembled. I looked at June in disbelief. The amulet that June had prayed for after I got pregnant actually contained a large amount of abortion-inducing medicine, especially the content of musk, which was very high. I had been very careful since I was pregnant, but the baby was still lost. I suspected my diet, and even thought it was a problem with my own body, but I never suspected that amulet. I wonder why my body got better after I lost the amulet. My eyesight was also gradually recovering. I clenched my fists tightly, trying to suppress the anger in my heart. It turned out that I had been living under June's control all these years. Taking a deep breath, I calmed down and returned to the bed. June came back and deliberately waved his hand in front of my eyes. I pretended not to see. His gaze fell on my neck. Honey, where's the amulet I gave you? I pretended to be flustered and touched my neck, saying anxiously, Husband, the amulet seems to be lost. Where did it go? Probably because I looked so flustered. June didn't think much of it, but gently stroked my hair. Honey, be good. This amulet can protect your safety. Fortunately, I asked for 2 at the beginning. Wait for me here. I'll go get it for you. After June left, I took off my hospital gown and ran out of the hospital. I hailed a taxi and got in without hesitation. Master, go to the airport. But the next second, I saw June's smiling face in the rearview mirror. Honey, where are you going? Rosie covered her face in disbelief. Her eyes instantly turned red. You actually hit me. But June didn't care about her, but quickly helped me up. Honey, are you okay? I shook my head. I'm fine. My cousin didn't mean it, don't blame her. Rosie's voice rose several octaves. Lily, what are you pretending? I didn't push you off the bed at all. You did it on purpose. Enough. As soon as Rosie finished speaking, June slapped her again without mercy. Rosie covered her red cheek and tears kept flowing. She gritted her teeth and said, June, you actually hit me for your wife. Don't regret it. After saying that, she ran out. June's expression changed obviously. He tucked me in and asked me if I had fallen and hurt anywhere. I shook my head and acted obediently. Or you should go and see if she's okay. My cousin just came here. What if something happens to her? June frowned. Forget about her. I don't know what's wrong with her. Although he said that, his flustered expression betrayed him. After about 10 minutes, he finally couldn't sit still and said, "Honey, there's something wrong with the company, and I need to go deal with it. You stay in the hospital." When he went out, he told the doctor to take good care of me. My plane ticket was for 3 days later. In these 3 days, I had to find a way to get out. But as soon as I got out of bed, I felt like someone was watching me. It must be June who arranged for someone to watch me. I leaned on the bed, thinking about how to get out. My best friend called. "Lily, I haven't seen you for so many days. I heard that you gave up your child last time. Are you feeling better?" I held the phone and said, "Yeah, I'm much better." On the phone, my best friend's tone was a little unhappy. "Do you know how worried I am? You didn't even reply to my messages. When I just gave up the child, I suddenly went blind. I didn't even touch my phone during that time." I told her the truth. My eyes were not very good during that time, so I didn't look at my phone. "Where are you now?" my best friend asked me. I sent her the address of the hospital, and 20 minutes later, my best friend appeared in front of me. She looked at me anxiously, examining me carefully. "Why have you lost so much weight? Your eyes, are they still not healed?" I whispered to my best friend, "My eyes are already healed." My best friend frowned, looking at me puzzled. "Then why do you still have a bandage on your eyes?" I told my best friend Jen everything that happened. Jen was shocked. She couldn't believe it. June looks so honest, but he actually found a woman outside. And in order to get the woman outside, he didn't hesitate to harm the child in his wife's belly. "What are you going to do now?" I paused. June's influence in Jiangqing is very large. If he finds out, she may not be able to leave the country. Now we can only outsmart him and let June relax. I smiled and said, "The medicine in this bandage is to prevent my eyesight from recovering." Jin covered her mouth. "Then why are you still wearing it? I have already recovered my eyesight, so it doesn't matter if I wear it." It's mainly to reassure June. At this time, a doctor wearing a mask pushed the door open. "Miss Lin, it's time for your medicine." He poured orange-yellow granules from a small white jar. While counting the number, he said, "Your husband really cares about you. This medicine is very difficult to buy and very expensive. I don't know what this medicine is, but I know that as long as I take this medicine on time, I will never be able to get pregnant again. My eyes will never see the light again. Is this how June loves me? To keep me tied to him forever in this way?" I obediently took the medicine the doctor gave me. And when I saw that I had finished it all, the doctor left with peace of mind. As soon as he left, I immediately vomited. I vomited for nearly 2 hours, even vomiting up the breakfast I had eaten in the morning. Jin patted my back distressfully. "June is a devil." As soon as I finished vomiting, June came back. Seeing Jin, June was startled. He had never met Jin before, so he looked at Jin with a hint of vigilance. "Honey, who is this?" Pretending not to see, I reached out to grope forward. "It's my best friend, Jen." She heard that I was in the hospital, so she rushed over from the airport. Hearing this, June seemed to relax. "Honey, didn't I say I could have someone pick you up?" Jin suppressed her anger and greeted June politely. In the evening, my eyes felt a little sore. I guess it was the effect of the medicine I applied. I checked the effects of this medicine. If a blind person is in the recovery stage, applying this medicine will cause obvious discomfort. I deliberately cried out in pain in an exaggerated way. June's concern didn't seem fake. "Lily, where does it hurt? Is it your eyes?" I covered my eyes and nodded. "It hurts so much, it really hurts." June hugged me into his arms with a worried expression. "It's okay. Lily, don't be afraid. It's the medicine taking effect. You'll be able to see soon." I sneered in my heart. Men's mouths sly. June stayed with me all night. He hardly closed his eyes. The next day, he received a call saying that there was an urgent matter at the company, so he left in a hurry. After he left, I secretly contacted my former classmate. I drafted a divorce agreement. Around midnight, June came back. Seeing that I was not asleep, he was startled. "Lily, why aren't you asleep yet? Are your eyes uncomfortable again?" I shook my head and said, "I feel like my eyes will never recover, husband, let's go home." My low voice made June's expression change slightly. He hugged me guiltily. "Tomorrow is your birthday. I want to hold a birthday party for you. Lily, We've been married for so many years, and I haven't met your parents yet. Yes, we've been married for 5 years, and I haven't taken June back to see them. My parents are businessmen in South Asia, and I escaped back to China to avoid an arranged marriage. When I married June, the wedding was very hasty. No dowry, no wedding house, and not even a ring. June had nothing at that time, although we were squeezed into a small rental house. But I did have a very happy time. June always felt guilty towards me, and later he worked hard and started his own business. He also really fulfilled his promise and would let me live a luxurious life. But when did everything change? Honey, what are you thinking about? June's voice pulled me back from my thoughts. I made an excuse. My parents are very busy with work. They probably won't be able to come tomorrow. June didn't show much disappointment. He just stroked my head and said softly, "I'll give you a surprise tomorrow." I smiled. "I have a surprise for you too." Hearing this, June looked overjoyed. "You also prepared a surprise for me?" I nodded. "But my surprise is in 3 days." June didn't think much of it, his face full of joy. #6 Early the next morning, June booked the largest hotel in Jiangqing. A bright red banner read, "Happy birthday to Ms. Lily." Everyone cast envious glances at me. Some people were whispering, "June is really..." I heard that his wife can't give birth and is also blind, but he not only doesn't dislike her but cares for his wife even more. It's such a blessing to marry a man like June. It's a pity that such a blind person is not worthy of June. June ignored the discussions around him and put my hand on his arm. To outsiders, we were an incredibly loving couple. On my birthday, Rosie also came. She was wearing a bright, custom-made evening gown and was very eye-catching in the crowd. If you didn't know, you would think she was the hostess of this banquet. Someone who had seen her at June's company exclaimed, "Isn't this June's secretary? Why is she wearing such a flashy dress at Mrs. Shun's birthday party?" Sister-in-law. Rosie walked over with a glass of red wine. She looked me up and down with a playful look, and June stood beside her with a cold face. Rosie raised her glass. "Sister-in-law, it's your birthday, I'll drink to you." I don't know if it was intentional or not. She spilled the wine on me, and I frowned slightly. This dress was newly bought and quite expensive. June's voice turned extremely cold. He grabbed Rosie's hand tightly and said fiercely, "Don't you have eyes?" Rosie cried in a weak voice, "I know I was wrong, June. I really didn't mean it." She hurriedly wiped the red wine stain on my dress with a handkerchief and leaned close to my ear, saying in a voice only I could hear, "Why don't we make a bet? You guess whether Ian will abandon you at such a grand birthday party." Hearing this, I didn't say anything, but just quietly looked at her provocative eyes. After a while, someone suddenly shouted, "There's a fire!" Suddenly, the banquet was in chaos. June held my hand tightly and comforted me softly. "Don't be afraid, Lily, I'm here." He grabbed my hand and tried to take me out. In the distance, there was Rosie's cry for help. She fell to the ground and called out June's name. "Ian, save me. My stomach hurt so much." I could clearly feel June's grip tighten. After a few seconds, he finally let go of my hand. "I'm sorry, Lily. Nian is pregnant. I have to save her first." I watched him rush towards Rosie without hesitation, and my heart was not moved at all. Very good. After 5 years of feelings, now it seems that I have completely let go. June carried Rosie in his arms, and the urgency in his eyes was about to overflow. Rosie had a smug look on her face. This was just a little trick she played. In fact, there was no fire at all. It was Rosie who asked someone to throw a cigarette, but at the smoke alarm. So it triggered the smoke alarm. Everyone calmed down and looked at June together. At this moment, June was holding Rosie in his arms. What's going on? In such an emergency, why did June abandon his wife and go to save a secretary? What's the relationship between this secretary and June? Look at her belly, she seems to be pregnant. Everyone was talking. June looked at me, his eyes filled with increasing panic. He quickly let go of Rosie and ran towards me, and I looked at him expressionlessly until he ran in front of me. I pretended to be blind and called out, "Husband." June hugged me tightly, and I could clearly feel his body trembling. "Honey, are you okay?" "It was my fault just now, I'm sorry." June kept apologizing to me, But I didn't get angry. Instead, I asked him calmly, "What happened, husband? I can't see anything. Everyone was talking about a fire just now. Did we come out?" Realizing that my eyes hadn't recovered, June seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, and he replied, "Yes, it's okay now. We're out. It's safe." Rosie looked at me with a distorted face. Her eyes almost wanted to eat me alive. That night, June set off fireworks all over the city. "Lily, you said you like watching fireworks the most." June said to me softly. I said indifferently, "But I can't see." I looked at the fireworks exploding in the sky, and my name was written on them. June said, "It doesn't matter. I'll be your eyes in the future." June looked at the fireworks exploding all over the sky and smiled. That look was very similar to when he promised to love Lily forever. I took out an agreement from my bag and handed it to June. "I received the surprise you gave me, and this is the surprise for you." June didn't think much of it when he saw the agreement and asked, "What is this?" I smiled. "I asked a friend to make it. It's a superstitious saying. It said that two people who love each other will stay together forever if they sign their names." Hearing what I said, June smiled and pinched my nose. "Silly girl, do you believe such things?" Saying that, he took the agreement from my hand and didn't even look at it before signing his name. He smiled at me and said, "Not only will we be together forever in this life, but we will also be together in the next life and the life after that." I sneered in my heart. "No more. June, we won't see each other again. #8 #. The day I boarded the plane was the day Rosie gave birth. He was waiting outside the delivery room, playing 2 games. The moment I boarded the plane, I felt a relief I had never felt before. Looking at the blue sky and white clouds outside the window, I smiled relaxedly. Everything before should be turned over. From now on, I will start my life again. After getting off the plane, my mother called me and said that she had arranged for someone to pick me up at the airport. Outside the airport, a blond man greeted me. I said a few words in a foreign language. The man smiled and spoke Chinese fluently. His name is Peter, and he is the son of my father's business partner. He is 2 years younger than me and very enthusiastic. "Let me help you with your luggage." He took my suitcase and walked with me, asking me as we walked, "Are you going to stay here from now on?" I nodded. "I'll probably stay here most of the time." He looked very happy and added my contact information. When I got home, my parents had already prepared dinner, all my favorite dishes. They didn't ask me about what happened in China, but asked me what my plans were for the future. I was thinking find a job here first. My mother winked at Peter, and Peter shyly scratched his head, then sat beside me. I only found out today that this Peter was the object of my parents' arranged marriage for me. In order to escape the marriage, I ran back to China. I thought he was already married, but I didn't expect him to remain single all these years. My phone kept ringing. It was June calling. I didn't answer. He must have found out that I left. Because 2 hours ago, I saw Rosie's moments. She gave birth to a son, and June knelt on one knee and kissed the child. The caption reads, "He said, I will always be his princess, and he is willing to be my knight and our child's." When I saw this message, I had already got off the plane. I liked the dynamic and commented with 99. Unexpectedly, the dynamic was deleted soon. I didn't care. Anyway, I had already divorced June. I don't care who he is with anymore. Later, Peter often asked me out, and we had a lot of common interests. I always thought that my marriage to him was just a business relationship between our families. But I didn't expect that this marriage was actually begged by him. Peter looked at me, his blue eyes shining. "Do you still remember the little mute who didn't dare to speak in high school?" You reminded me. The transfer student in high school was a blonde boy who was very good looking. Because of the difference in appearance, he was isolated in the class at that time. Peter smiled and said, "At that time, only you played with me." I was a little surprised and pointed at him. "Didn't you know how to speak?" "Yes, but my Chinese wasn't very good at that time." "But your Chinese is very good now." Peter looked up at me. "I practiced for a long time for you. Actually, I really wanted to talk to you at that time. Can you give me a chance?" That was the first time Peter confessed to me, and I rejected him. After that, Peter continued to pursue me relentlessly. And finally, I made up my mind and decided to give him a try. He was very good to me and respected my thoughts very much. On our wedding day, I sent a message to my best friend Jin, asking her to attend my wedding. After Jin congratulated me, she told me about June. I heard that after I left the country that day, Rosie gave birth to a son. But the son was sent away by June, and I don't know where he was sent. June blamed all the mistakes of my departure on Rosie, tortured her every day. And then Rosie went crazy. Shen's group also went bankrupt. June jumped off a building because of the huge debt. After hearing this, I was not moved at all. Outside, the MC's voice sounded. Please invite our beautiful bride, Ms. Lily,